Hello everybody, welcome to InDesign Tuesday. My name is Terry White, Worldwide Design and Photography Evangelist for Adobe. It's my pleasure to be here streaming live to you today on this beautiful, sunny Atlanta Tuesday afternoon. Welcome everyone. I'm hoping that you guys will have a little fun today with some interactivity, and we're going to hang on one second here. I'm just going to refresh a page. We're going to create some interactive tabs in InDesign. This is something that I've been wanting to not only figure out how to do, but also show you how to do it. So I kind of had some time today to spend on it and figure out the best, maybe not the best, but one of the ways to do it. Using the ability to show and hide buttons and all kinds of cool things that InDesign does. Great. So with that said, I see Rose, I see Victoria. Welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I also see La Quinta coming in on Twitter. Great to have you all here. Elias and Maurice, welcome as well as some folks popping in on YouTube. I see Bobby, Tom, and Nadia. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at today's topic. I'll switch over to my computer so you guys can see what I'm doing. I've got send the sun to the Netherlands. I'll do my best. I've got InDesign open as I usually like to do with no document open in the background. Oop, a little too far there. No document open in the background so that we can really see how to do this from scratch. So I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, that's actually not InDesign. That's Photoshop. Let's go back to InDesign. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and do a new document. And when I do a new document, of course, it brings up the standard new document window. And it's asking me, do I want to use one of my recent files, a saved layout, a print layout, but are active here to see which templates are available. We're not going to use one, but just to see what templates are available. That will take me over to my web browser and show me all the InDesign templates that have interactivity already built into them. So you don't have to necessarily do it from scratch, although we're going to do it from scratch today. Hey, Thomas, what's going on? All right, so let's go ahead and switch back to InDesign. We are going to stay on the web tab, and we're just going to go ahead and pick an 800 by 600 layout. Why? Because it's the first one. There's no rhyme or reason to why I'm picking this layout. You can pick whatever size you want, whatever size document you want. It doesn't have to be a web size. It doesn't have to be a screen size. It could be a print size. It could be whatever size you want. We're just going to go ahead and click 800 by 600. All right, we're just going to go ahead and create it. That'll give us our 800 by 600 layout. And typically, I will give this tip. Typically, if you are doing interactive layouts or layouts that are going to be viewed on a screen, then in this case it might be, especially if you expect people to look at it on a computer screen, you might want it to be wide versus tall. If you expect people to look at it on a phone, then you might want to make it tall. So that's some of the considerations you might want to make depending on more grease to my elbow, depending on what you intend people to look at it on, or what you think people might look at it on the most. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to go ahead and bring over our first set of elements. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and create the 3 images that the tabs will toggle between. They could be images, they could be text, they could be groups of things, text and images. It's irrelevant to what you're actually using for this. So I'm just going to use 3 images because it's easy. And to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and drag out my frame tool and make a frame the width of my margins, but not the height of my margins. I'm going to leave some room down at the bottom. Maybe about that much room. Okay, so now that I've got this, I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times because I just want 3 frames that are exactly the same. And before I duplicate it, one of the first things you might want to do is you might want to set your fitting options for the frame so that when you make your duplicates, they're all set to be the same thing. So I'm going to say for my, I'm going to say fill frame proportionally from the center for that frame so that when I do drop an image in it, it'll just fill it proportionally. And now when I make 2 more copies, it will go ahead and do that as well. So let's go ahead and duplicate it. You can option drag it. You can just use the duplicate command. I'm just going to duplicate it one more time. And so now I've got my 3 frames that are exactly the same size. Offset, of course, because of the duplicate. We're going to fix that in just a minute. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop my content into each of those frames, which you can place your content any way you want. All right, so I'm gonna, here are my 3 images that I took in South Africa. So I'm going to start off with maybe the lion. We'll do the lion on top. We'll do the, I don't know, I forgot the name of this bird. They did tell me when I was there, but I forgot what it is. Maybe someone that's smart in the chat can tell me. And of course, the giraffe. All right, now, before I worry about putting these together, the other thing because I'm going to put tabs across the top, I'm going to give myself a little more headroom. So I'm going to come down onto this frame. I'm going to move the bird all the way down so that I've got as much top of the image as possible. Same thing with the giraffe. Just going to move the giraffe all the way down. And that way, all 3 images now are starting at the top of the actual image themselves. All right, so now that I got all 3 images the way I want, I'm just going to go ahead and select all 3. Command A, select all. And now that I've got all 3 selected, I'm going to align them all on top of each other so that they're directly on top of each other. And that way you'll just see one image when I'm done. So I'm just going to click my alignment option up here in the upper right-hand corner. That aligned all 3, one on top of the other. They are all there. We just basically scooted them over so that they literally sit on top of each other. They're all still 3 selected as well. So the next thing I want to do while they're still selected is I want to convert all 3, all 5, all 10, how many ever frames you have, into an object state. All right, hang on for a minute. Looks like my stream is having some difficulties. Hold on for a minute. Let's see if I'm on YouTube. So I'm going to stop it and start it again. And hopefully that fixes the YouTube issue. All right, so next thing we're going to do is now that I've got all 3 images, we're going to convert all 3 images into what's called an object state. So an object state allows it to treat all 3 images as one, but it still remembers that there are 3 things there. So I'm going to go to my states panel, my object states panel. And in my object states panel, I'm going to go ahead and click just the new button, create a new object state. And that will create one, or a new multi-state object, I should say. That will create state 1, state 2, state 3. If you had 10 images, so it'd be 10 states. If you had 20 images, it'd be 20 states. It will basically create a multi-state object for everything you selected. And so now I'm just going to call this multi-state object pictures. You can call it whatever you want. All right, so now that I've got that created, the next thing is time to bring over the actual tabs that will toggle between the 3 states. So the first tab, where am I going to get these tabs from? Well, I actually went and downloaded a stock image that's got some beautiful, nice colored tabs that are vector. So I took them over to Illustrator. Let's see if I've still got Illustrator open. I took them over to Illustrator and I just basically deleted all the stuff that was around them and put the three of them in my library as separate images. So basically, when you download a stock image like this, they may be grouped together. You can still select them individually with the direct selection tool and then move them around, do whatever you want, delete whatever, size, change the colors, so forth and so on. So that's where my tabs came from. You can design your tabs any way you want. All right, so I'm going to pull over this first tab. And I'm just going to go up here to the top and I'm just going to go ahead and start over in the upper left corner and pull it down and make my tab, about that big. All right, so there's my first tab. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the second tab. Pull it over, then come up here, line it to the top, and it will tell me when it's the same size as the other one. I get smart guides telling me it's the same size. So now I can let go. I know it's the exact same size as the other one. Then we're going to grab the last one, the green one, and we're going to do the exact same thing. And hopefully this won't be too big. Smart guy's letting me know, and yes, it is too big. So I'm going to move this one over. Can I make them all squeeze? If not, Ah, darn it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and size it down. Command Shift Scale, make it a little smaller. Command Shift Scale, make it a little smaller. Smart guys will tell me when it's the same size. Command Shift Scale, make it a lot smaller. Make that one fit. Now we'll make them size to that one there. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now they're going to all be the exact same size. Great. And then I can move this one back over to the left, select all three, and distribute the space between them so that they are perfectly centered, meaning the same amount of space between each one. Okay, cosmetic stuff. Now that I got my 3 images in place that I want to be the tabs, the next thing I'm going to do, before I even worry about wiring them up to make them interactive, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and create some text, because, you know, clicking 3 tabs of images, that's one thing, but we also want it to explain something or say something when we're doing it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a text frame like so. And by the way, one of the things that might help if I pull out a guide, it'll kind of help me align those 3 tabs of info. There we go. So I know how much room I have. And it's okay that they're going to butt right up next to each other, because you're not going to see all 3 at the same time anyway. Okay, so now I would put whatever text I'm going to put into that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill it with placeholder text, because it will be whatever text you specify. And I'm just going to duplicate it, hold down my Option key, Shift key, and drag it over. All right, and one more time. All right, so those would be our 3 pieces of information to go with those tabs. All right, next, now it's time to start wiring things up. So now it's time to start telling it that these things won't all be on the screen at the same time, and we need to be able to see the different images and text when you click on the various graphics, which are going to be tabs. So the first one, this text, I'm going to go ahead and start making buttons out of my text. So this is this is basically, once you get it all visually looking the way you want, now it's time to start doing the interactive stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to head to the Button and Forms panel. If you're saying, well, where's Terry getting all these panels from? Like they're all nicely already there. I made a workspace because I usually work with these panels often. But if you want to get them, they're in the digital publishing workspace. If you switch to that workspace, that will put all those panels that I'm working with right there for you, so that just like you can grab them just like I am. All right, so we're going to go to the button workspace, and we're just going to simply say that this is a button. So it's a button. Even though you're never going to click on it, it's a button. And that's all we're going to do. So we're just going to call this, and we're just going to give it a name. So it's going to be, instead of button 1, we're going to call it text 1. All right. Same thing for the next one, but we're going to do 2 more options on the next 2. So we're going to do, this is a button as well. And obviously it's text 2. But text 2 and text 3 are going to be hidden until triggered, because we don't want those showing all the time. So we're going to just basically make those hidden until triggered. Actually, we're going to do that for the first one as well. All right, there we go. And then we're going to do this last one, button. And this is going to be text 3. And that's also going to be hidden until triggered. Okay, so basically what does that mean? You'll see in a minute. Let's now go to the tab. And the tab is what people are actually going to click on. You could put text up there as well. So if you wanted to describe what they're clicking on, you could put text above the button, above the graphic, and make the whole thing a button. But we're just going to go ahead and say that this is going to be a button as well. And this is going to be, you can call it tab 1, for example. This tab 1, what happens? So basically, when you make a button, even though I made buttons out of the text, nothing happens. Like they're just buttons because I need them to be. But what happens when you make this a button? What does it do? So you can set an action for each of your buttons to actually have it do things when people click on it or tap on it. So the first action I want it to do is to go to a state. Remember that multi-state object? That's why this is important. So we made a multi-state object so that when people click this button, it can actually go to a state of the pictures, multi-state object. Remember, we changed the name of it to pictures. And you have your state choices of state 1, 2, or 3. So we'll leave it on state 1 because that's what it's going to do. And also, if we did that, it would switch the picture, but it wouldn't do anything with the text below. So we want to do one more thing. We want to go in and we want to add another action. We want to add a show hide forms. So when we do our show hide, we're going to say that it brings up everything that's here. And we're going to say that it is going to show text 1. It's going to hide text 2 and text 3. If you just leave the X, that means don't do anything to that one. So show text 1, hide text 2 and text 3. All right, now we just rinse and repeat. We do the same thing to the next 2 buttons. So button, this is going to be tab 2. This is going to be, first action is going to be go to a state. And then we're going to say, nope, we want to go state number 2 for this one because this is going to choose the second picture. And then the same thing, we're going to show and hide some stuff. So we're going to say show and hide. And we're going to show, we're going to hide tab number 1. And we're going to show, we're going to hide tab text number 1. We're going to show text number 2. We're going to hide text number 3. Because the tabs always stay visible. The text is what changes and the picture is what change. All right, so next one, the last one, we're going to go to this tab and we're going to just do one more button. And we're going to go in and say that we want to name this one. This is going to be tab 3. And on release, it's going to perform an action that goes to a state. So it goes to the picture state number 3. There we go. And last but not least, we're going to also do a show and a hide. And that show and hide is going to hide text number 1. Hide text number 2 and show text number 3. All right, so now if I've done this correctly, if everything works, when we preview this, you should see it the way it's intended. Let's see if this works. All right, so let's go into, the only thing I'm questioning myself is I can't remember if I needed to hide this first text or not, but we'll see in a minute. All right, so I'm going to go to my animation tab, or my animation panel, I should say, where I have the preview button. And there's a preview button in most of these, but I'm just going to go ahead and click the preview button one time. That will show me my preview of this layout. And that's what so I shouldn't hide that first one on by default. But anyway, if I click it, it pops up. And now if I click this one, the second picture comes up, the other text hides. I click this one, third picture comes up, third one, or text shows up, the other ones hide. And so by default, if you wanted that text to come up, then you would uncheck the box, hidden until, here, I'll show you which box that is. You would uncheck the box for this button. Let's deselect, there we go. You would uncheck the box for that button that says hidden until triggered. So now if I do that, hopefully, it should, yep, it shows it by default now as it should. So if I go back, there we go. So that is how to make your interactive tabs. It's a few steps, but worth it. Now, you might be saying, okay, I've done that. What good is that going to do me now that I've made this cool interactive thing? Well, once you create your document with whatever interactivity you want, then you can go in and save it. Let's save the InDesign document. So I'm going to call this interactive Tuesday. So interactive Tuesday, save to the desktop. All right, so now my InDesign document is saved. So now what? Well, in the past, we would have done maybe an interactive PDF. And that way people could click on things inside of a PDF file. And I've said this before, I'm going to just remind people again, I'm no longer really a big proponent or fan, or I don't even recommend people do interactive PDFs anymore. Because while interactive PDF itself works, the problem is back in the day when interactive PDF was a thing, you had control because everyone was using the Adobe Reader. So therefore, all your interactions worked because you would share your PDF, people would open it up in the free Adobe Reader, which worked with all your interactions, and away you went. Once PDF became a thing that became built into the operating systems and built into applications and built into your mobile devices, like everything can display a PDF now. Well, just because something can display a PDF doesn't mean it holds the interactions. So you might do all of this, send it to someone, and they don't open it in the Adobe Reader, they just open it up on their phone, and nothing works. Because depending on their browser, depending on their phone, depending on their platform, depending on the OS, certain things might work, certain things might not work. So rather than have an inconsistent experience for your users, the next best thing, instead of an interactive PDF, is to actually publish a document online. So if I choose Publish Online, which is a button right here in the upper right-hand corner, that's a part of your Creative Cloud plan. That it allows me to publish as many documents as I want. I can call this whatever I want. I can, I'm publishing it as a new document. I can publish specific pages. I can allow viewers to download a PDF if I choose to, after they viewed it or not. I can do whatever I want. But once I publish this online, what that will do is it will convert this into an HTML5 document. Hosted by Adobe, you're going to get a URL to share any way you want, to give out to as many people as you want. And then when people view that URL, they see your document in their web browser on any device, and the interactivity works just fine. So that is the way I would share an interactive InDesign document now in 2020, as opposed to trying to make a PDF that some people will have great experiences with and some won't. So hopefully you got something out of this, and hopefully that helped you think more about your interactive things you can do with InDesign going forward. All right, I don't know if I'm just not seeing questions or that there are no questions being asked. That could be the case, but I'm not seeing anything here. I'm just gonna scroll just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And it could be that I've lost you on chat. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Here we go. So the next question is, will that work with an interactive book as well? Yes, it should. So the other format that would work in is in an EPUB. An EPUB 3 document would support this as well. Can you write on the tabs? Absolutely. Just draw a text frame and put whatever you want on the tabs. I just didn't take the time to do it. So you can put text on the tabs, pictures on the tabs, pictures and text on the tabs, whatever you want on the tabs. And you can, if you want, so one thing will be a button. So if you did put, let's say you did put some text on the tab, like, let's say I go here, I drag out a frame, and I did type the word lion, make that nice and big. All right, let's say I did that, and let's center it. Then what I have to be careful of is when I make this a button, am I making the text the button or the image the button? So what you might want to do before you make the button is group it together. So that way you're making a button out of the group of the image and the text, and that way it'll work fine no matter where anyone clicks. Because if I make it the text and let's say my frame isn't that big and they're clicking over here on the image, nothing would work because the button would be the actual text. So just, if you're going to do this, just make sure that you group it together and before you make the button. All right, will this work on, I guess you're asking this, will this work on WordPress? When you publish this out as an interactive document, I didn't go, I'd show it there, but if I go to my published online dashboard there, It'll show me all the things I published, including this one. And what I can do is I can get the embed code to put on my WordPress blog or to put anywhere on any other website for that matter. So yes. Can you publish this as a Facebook picture to make it interactive? Interactive Facebook pictures are not interactive, so no, because that's a Facebook limitation. All right, great questions. And can this be done in a responsive format? Not currently. Good question though. Can it be done in a responsive format? Not in the current state of publishing online. Now, InDesign has sort of responsive tools in it, so there's no reason why this couldn't be interactive in the future. All right, is it possible to save a document? This is like this. Is it possible to save this like a document interactive? We talked about all that. So if you missed it, just go back and watch that part. So we talked about interactive PDF. We talked about publishing online. All right. We talked about all that, Debbie. But yes, so your choices are EPUB would save all the interactivity. HTML5, you publish online, would save the interactivity. Interactive PDF, you're gambling that people that are viewing it would view it in a viewer that supports the interactivity. So I would not recommend interactive PDF, even though that could work. Now, one thing I should mention is that when you go to make a button, here, let me just turn the text into a button for a second. And you go to tell it what the button can do. For example, if I go to actions, you'll notice that the actions themselves are divided into what they support. So for example, all the actions at the top work in anything. So go to a destination, go to a page, go to a URL, play a video, play a sound. That works in anything. But if I use an animation, or go to a state like we did with this multi-state object, well, you see that that only works in EPUB/publish online. So that would not even work in an interactive PDF. And then last but not least are the PDF only options. So this is already telling you what would work in which format and which will not. Can you change the URL? You cannot. All right, the URL is automatically generated. Can you create hovers? Yes, you can. You can create hover states. What's the best format for Amazon Kindle? The best format for Amazon Kindle is to save it as an EPUB and use a converter that will convert it into the Kindle format. There are lots of free converters out there. That's what I do. All right. Let's see, I think there's some more over here. Difference between digital publishing and publish online. Digital publishing is making an app. You are becoming a publisher, you're signing a contract, you're doing all kinds of things where you're hosting an app for a digital magazine. Publish online is for you and me. People that just want to publish a document online, they don't need to do anything else than publish it and give out the URL. So big difference between the two. What is the difference between, which nothing to do with InDesign, what is the difference between a collection and a set of collections in Lightroom? You kind of answered that in your question. A collection is a collection of a single set of photos. A collection set is a set of collections. So if you had a collection called Family, Home, and Work, those would be 3 different collections in a collection set called My Pictures. All right. And I think that, can it be 508 compliant? I doubt it, because 508 compliant would mean a lot of things that would have to be in there, like alt tags and things like that. So this probably wouldn't be 508 compliant, but there are ways to go out of InDesign in other formats that would be. All right. When will Adobe integrate interactive features right into a PDF? We did. The problem is, and when we control that whole environment, we made the PDFs, you use the Adobe Reader to view them, it all worked fine. What fell apart with that story, as I mentioned earlier, is when everyone else can read a PDF and they write their viewer whatever way they want, supporting whatever features they want or don't want. So if I make an interactive PDF with all of this, and I give it to you and you open it up on some platform and some viewer that doesn't support that, you don't see the interactivity. So that's not Adobe's fight anymore, because we can't control what people do with their viewers. We can only control what we do with our viewer, and our viewer would work, but that's why there hasn't been a lot of more investment in interactive PDF, because we no longer control what you or your clients would view the PDF in. All right, Ben's asking, how can I export an animation video to Instagram? Again, this is interactivity, and video is something else. So interactive documents aren't videos. They're interactive documents. This is an HTML document if I publish it online. A video is a video. So if you want a video, then we have several video tools that will let you make a video for Instagram. All right. With that said, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye everybody.